Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure.
After today, it's a tradition. Good evening. Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2015, and this is the Millis Planning Board. We are meeting in room 229 at the Millis Town Hall at 7:30 p.m. Start this meeting, I'd like we all rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where's my note card? It's been a while.
You better do it.
While we're setting up, we have an informal discussion for the new Millis Police Station. We got a quick thing for need and bank plan endorsement. You want to say something, Mr. American? Is there a... And I ask everybody in the audience to please sign the attendance sheet. Thank you.
Just as the final formality, I have a Mylar set of the final approved plans I'd like you to endorse.
Thank you. Is there any changes since last time?
No.
I think it was quite aware of everybody in town. They finally knocked down that piece of stuff.
It's gone.
Yes. And there's a screen around it.
Soon we'll have a lovely new building there.
When do they think it's going to open? What's they're shooting for?
I don't know exactly, but I think it'll take about 5 months to build the building.
Okay. Great.
That's good.
Thank you.
That was nice.
You guys want to endorse these? Yeah, I'd like to make a motion we endorse the plans dated. November 18, 2014, or last endorsed 1/20/2015.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Oh, this is another thing. What did you just say? This is another thing. Find out from to the lines today.
No, I'm going to find out. Give me a sheet.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Just started. I don't know.
Here you go.
How you doing, my friend? Happy New Year. I like your letter. I like your letter.
She texted me and said, "You got to do a letter." I'm like, okay.
If it was Medway, I wouldn't.
There's no signature block on 5. Do you want that signed too?
Yeah.
Is this what you said? You gave me? Just wanted to have them come back.
Did you? I don't think we signed the land.
I didn't. I'll wait till they're done.
Yeah.
I did hear that.
No, this was 5. Did you sign 2 more after this? Here you go, Robert.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What did we say it was?
I'm sorry? I think you said 11:15, yeah.
This one's not. What does that say? No, the revised date.
You just need your approval date,
Oh, I'll
no
add
endorsement date.
Thank you.
The female workers, maybe they'll hire a female.
All right, being it's a little after 7:30, the first item on the agenda is an informal discussion regarding the application of proposed new Millis Police Station headquarters. And you are?
My name is William Murray. I'm with Places Associates. I'm the project planner and the landscape architect. Also here tonight, Kevin Wetzel from CDR McGuire, the police chief, obviously, and Jeff D'Amico from Compass, who is the owner's project manager. So what I've been asked to do tonight is give you a quick overview of that which we've submitted.
And Wayne Clarko.
Okay. Sorry. What we have submitted to you in a formal fashion is a site plan special permit application for the construction of the new police station.
Where's this going? Because there are people at home who have no idea where this is going. So why don't you start with that, where the location is,
Sure.
what your plans are.
The
and how long you've been
location-
working on this.
Is noted at 37 Auburn Street, but it's immediately adjacent to the Centennial Place development, or just down the street from the new library. It's the site of the old abandoned library.
Perfect.
It's located in a residential village district with some of the Millis Center Economic Opportunity District encroaching on the front of the site, as some of our drawings show, but only a portion of the site's contained within that district, so we don't get the benefits of that district. It's a complex site, as I've said before. We have wetlands to the rear. We actually have a Zone C and a watershed protection district that go through the middle of the site, and that's where a historic stream was culverted, we think in about 1962, but it's still mapped as though it's a stream bed in the adjacent wetlands, and that is going to require some additional permitting from the Zoning Board of Appeals. One of the other constraints that we have on this site is to the rear of the site, going from, or the northerly part of the site, is a right-of-way that gives access to the library and also gives secondary access to Centennial Place, so we have to honor those, and there's infrastructure in that area. Going currently down through roughly the center of the site in front of, I'm going to leave the podium for a sec. So currently the culvert comes across the front of the site and continues drain, hits Main Street. That's the buried culvert. It can't exist underneath the new building. It's a bad construction idea to have any flowing stream under a public safety facility. So the culvert has to be relocated around the project, pushing the building even further towards Main Street. So I mention this because the building is designed inside the front zoning offset, because the size of the building is essentially mandated by its operation and its use. A modern police station has to answer for many, many different uses, functions, and has a lot of requirements. So the building will be a proposed slab on grade. There is no basement. It will be a one-story building with mechanical on a second and I guess a 1.5 story, mostly to the rear. So we have the architect's rendering of the front of the building here, and then, so this one would be essentially from the southwest corner of Main Street and Auburn Street, the intersection looking up in that direction. It has a parapet and a tower to the front to give a formal presence. The front of the building is proposed in a linear fashion behind the face of Centennial Place, but only by a little bit. So it's going to occupy a prominent position on the corner. It will announce itself as a public building, and hopefully it will address the immediate and future needs of the police station. We have submitted a landscape plan to identify screening. We've submitted a site plan and a set of drainage calculations as part of the design. We are asking in the formal submission for the planning board to consider a couple of waivers. One of the waivers is waiver of the submission fees, acknowledging that the building committee will be responsible for the advertising, notification, and professional review fees. We're also asking for a waiver of the submittal requirements in that the drainage calculations are voluminous. They're 183 pages, so we did provide drainage calculations, but we're asking that the number be limited to the board, the town clerk, and your professional consultant. And then finally, there's an interpretation that we would like the board to consider. In making this application under the table of uses, Table 1, Principal Use, item number 30, you require a special permit for the construction of drainage facilities or damming up or relocating of any watercourse, water body, or wetlands. It is a water course. It is not a water body. It is no longer a wetland. We have made our application includes that special permit in the narratives to go with it, but we would like the board to consider whether you think that's an appropriate application which we should withdraw or maintain as part of the application. So we've submitted a detailed narrative and virtually all things related to the project. Included in our application is a permitting matrix, and I simply mention this because there is a vast amount of local permitting that we're going to have to be doing for this project. The Zoning Board of Appeals, who we have not yet made application to, but we're planning on doing so very soon, is going to see us for variances to the front and side offsets because the building is placed so close. Work in the W district, and then we have some pre-existing non-conforming items that we need to conclude with them. The Conservation Commission has jurisdiction over the adjacent wetlands, the relocation of the stream culvert, so they too get to look at this project in great detail. DPW and others also get to look at the project in great detail. So we're trying to coordinate our activities and your activities with the activities of those other agencies as we move forward. And then finally, the town is hoping to move this project in a progressive way forward. You've gone through a unique bidding process. You're doing a GM at risk? Construction manager at risk. So that person's already been, gone through the bidding process and selected. And what that means is this is essentially a cooperative design-build project where the general manager, the CM, starts his end of the project in conjunction with the design team, so that this is an expedited project as well as a unified project that's put together by a team as opposed to a standard contractor design team. And that's why we've submitted to you. Then the final item that I need is we discovered in doing some excavation, the project LSP has discovered that there is some hydrocarbons in the soil in front of where the library is, and it's believed to be remnant from an excavation and a remediation where Centennial Place currently is. So that's another wrinkle in the fold that we are dealing with. And we've mentioned that in our project narrative that it's out there, and groundwater and detailed information about that will be pending, but the report has not yet been issued, so I can't give it to you. And I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Is it in Zone 2?
No.
No, it's not.
Zone C.
I don't believe, speaking for myself, regarding the waivers for fees, typically in the past that we would waive the fees But even the applicant being the town, will still be responsible for the cost to bear, because it's coming from the same source. The only thing I would make the recommendation is, as far as notification goes, it needs to go through our secretary, because there has been things in the past where people are like, oh yeah, we'll notify, they never do. And it's not done correctly. She's very good, so it would have to go through her regarding that. One thing I noticed, I'm a little confused. So you say part of it's in the MCEOD and part of it's in the residential, right?
Yep. Can I approach?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to be clear, this green line right here, that's the MCEOD, and the red line is the property line.
Okay.
So only this sliver exists
Okay.
in the MCOD. And
So the building that you're putting up is, you're going to need all the waivers from zoning, because it doesn't meet, you're not getting any of the relief that the MCEOD, even though the building is something what we'd like, we were trying to move the building forward to 109, parking in the back, things that the planning board and town does like, but you're going to have to go through that process differently.
Correct.
Because you can't get any relief because of this.
Right. Your regulations clearly state that the entire developed portion of the site, in order to get the benefit of the MCOD, the entire developed portion of the site has to be completely in
Correct.
that zone. So it isn't, we can't get the benefits of it.
Now, what about parking? I was looking,
To the microphone.
no, what about on the parking? Isn't that part of the reason, are you going to have enough parking on site? Or are you going to have to use the shared town parking out back, too?
We did submit parking calculations, and the parking is one space for 300 gross square feet. And we do have enough on-site parking, but we also have the benefit of the surplus parking from Centennial Place and on-street parking to the front, which we're not even attempting to take credit for.
Okay. The other thing I noticed, you didn't have a traffic study here?
No.
We're going to have to do a traffic study.
What we have said is this is a relocation of an existing use already on Main Street. So we were asking that, the narrative that we've included be sufficient.
Me personally, we just did approvals for a Dairy Queen, and we had residents come out, particularly when the point's going to be on Auburn Road. I do know that they've looked at that area before. There's also, that's the main school crossing area that's in that area, so I'm going to recommend we have to do a traffic study, just so you're aware of that. I don't see how we get around that. I mean, being it's, a police station. The traffic that's going to increase. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that? Traffic study? You know the police chief, he can get you the accident report for the area.
I actually believe that there may have been one done last 2 years.
Okay. You might have to use the microphone, chief, sorry. Hate to do it to you.
That's for sure.
Keith Edison, Police Chief. I'd have to verify, but I believe that a traffic study was conducted at Auburn and Maine, inclusive of the anticipated volume of the police station, Centennial Place development, in the library. And that the resulting decision of that was that there's not a mandate, it's not a requirement to have a traffic light in that area. But I believe they did that study about 2 years ago.
I know, they've been talking about traffic light there for a long time, even before this. I'm not saying it needs the warrants for that, but I know through what we've done in the other areas, signalization of the lights up at the top of the hill, where Pleasant Street is, and then the next one down, there might be some working of that type of stuff too, so, and just signalization in between. Or, I don't know, they might need a flashing light out there that says stop, the police car pulling out, I don't know.
Timeframe-wise, if that study was completed subsequent to the Centennial Place development going through the second phase of the Centennial Place, would that be sufficient, or would you be looking for something more recent than that, even though there'd be no other development in that?
I'd have to look at the traffic study that was done before and see if it included the police station. I think at the police station, they weren't even sure at the time where the vehicles were going to come out from, if they were going to come out directly on 109 or they're going to come out Auburn Road, so I'm not sure.
We did have a traffic engineer look at that site when the crossing guard was hit, when there was an accident there. We had an engineer came out, and subsequently, I believe we used the Dairy Queen
I believe so.
traffic study.
Yes.
And it was all concluded that there was not a need for a traffic light. But I can get you a copy of the the Dairy Queen
Okay.
traffic study,
Okay.
and what we used as the engineering.
And also, I think we'd have to look at the appropriate signage on 109. Just even if the traffic light isn't warranted, there's got to be some kind of, because we all know there's too many goddamn signs out there anyways. But there's got to be something that says, police station ahead, emergency vehicles, exiting, discharging, whatever it might be. So
Yeah, there's a uniform sign criteria.
absolutely. But if you can get the traffic study before shortly, we can have our consulting engineer take a look at it and he'll get an opinion on that. Anybody else got any thoughts?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. The way it sits now, there's parking on Auburn Road. Is that going to be taken away?
We're proposing 3 spaces on Auburn Road, and one of them is going to be a designated accessible space. But for the most part, it's being pulled back away from the intersection. Yeah.
Okay, but there's parking probably for cars there now in front of the old library.
Right.
And I think there's a couple of spots in front of this new police station. They're going to remain as well, I assume?
Yes, the on-street on Main Street won't be altered, but as we had submitted, we're leaving the design development process and going to the next stage, construction documents, and some things are in play. We're investigating whether we can put an accessible space on Main Street or not, and safety being the primary consideration, whether we have sufficient width and length to put an accessible space there or not. If we aren't, we're proposing principally where the entrance to the old library was, that would be the closest accessible space to the front of the building. And then around back, there is also going to be an accessible space to the rear, so that if the police department does hire somebody as a dispatcher or other position that they're qualified for, that can be a mobility impaired person.
Okay. How close is the front of that building to the sidewalk or to the curb? I don't see any real dimensions on these.
Yeah, we did submit full dimension plans, but so it's approximately 20 feet to the building from the back edge of the sidewalk and about 10 feet to the front of the porch, which sticks out.
Okay.
I know it's 22.2 feet to the property line, but that bisects through part of the sidewalk.
So when are you planning on starting a ZBA process? Because that kind of dictates what we're doing too.
We're targeting for submission this Friday.
So they're looking at a hearing not until February either, right?
Right.
Just have one quick question.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Kathy brought to my attention. On the submittal of requirements, the DPW, we actually now have the plotter, and I think it would be in your best interest if you could add us, the DPW, for the set of plans, especially if it's in the thumb drive. That way, if somebody here wants copies of it, we can, readily access them.
You can send them in PDF, right?
Yes.
Yeah, as long as I can just download them and, I'll put them on our plotter.
Is just plans, or do you want the full document set?
Not the writing, just the plans
Oh, yeah, that's easily done.
and the drawings, and the way the chief needed them or anybody else needs them, for both the police and fire if you're doing them. Thank you. No, I'm done.
Yes, Ms. McGinnis.
So it looks like from the zoning board, you're going to be asking for a setback variance. And how far is the side offsets? What are you asking for?
Your regulations require 15 feet. So the westerly side on Auburn Street is about 14 and a half feet. I think it's 14.56. And the opposite side is about 6.5 feet facing Centennial Place. And the front offset would be 22 feet to the face of the building and a little more than 10 feet to the face of the supports for the covered entryway.
But the variance request goes from the offset from the covered way.
It does. Yeah. We're giving them dimensions to all three sides, so easterly, southerly, and westerly. And then, of course, to the rear, we're fine.
Okay.
So we're giving them the dimensions, and we're asking them to round the numbers down so that we have a couple inches of play. So if construction changes it, that it will still be compliant.
Okay. Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Millis.
You mentioned pre-existing non-conforming discussion with the zoning board. In what regards?
The regulations require that each lot have 25% of its lot, no more than 25% of its lot area encumbered by the W district, and we have 29%. And we're also, this is now a corner lot, so we have 2 front yards. So those are the pre-existing non-conforming natures.
So rather than asking for relief on because of pre-existing grounds, you don't think you should just ask for a variance?
We are asking for a
With a
variance.
variance.
We are asking for offset variances,
Okay.
yes. We will be.
Mr. Chairman, hydrocarbons in the soil, has anybody given you a price, and is that included in the override budget?
Gentlemen?
We're still in the
Do
investigation.
you want to come up here and?
As Bill mentioned, we're still in the design
What's your name,
development. Jeff D'Amico from Compass Project Management, the owner's representative representing the town on this project. We're in the design development phase, so we're still costing out the project itself, and we are setting aside allowances and holds for soil contaminants as we find that information. At the start of the project, we did an investigation that revealed some levels of hydrocarbons in the soil. We've then scheduled a second set of testing. That data is on its way back to us now, so we're waiting for that, and we'll be able to update the numbers based on that. But it wasn't envisioned at the time of the town meeting, which was over a year and a half ago, so it wasn't a specific line item allocated, so it'll have to come out of another portion of the project in order to pay for it.
But there won't be another override, or there won't be money taken from another town budget for it? It'll just be taken from the actual override money?
Until it's fully quantified, I can't give you a definitive answer, but that's not the intention to take it from another town budget. Intention is to try and keep it within the project scope, but until the full parameters are defined, it's hard to answer that question.
Okay, so you really don't have any ballpark figure what it's going to cost until you finalize it?
Correct, yeah. We did an initial testing, and now we're waiting on the data back from the second set of testing.
Could you notify the planning board when you get the results and the cost?
Yeah.
Okay. And I have some questions. Is the design phase over?
No, it's not over. Right now, we're at let's say 2/3 of the way through it as traditionally defined, so we're at the end of design development, ready to proceed into construction documents, which is the final third of the design.
Okay, so the zoning bylaws, the planning board has there's mention in the zoning bylaws for design review overseen by the planning board. And at what point are we going to see the final proposed so comments could be made? Because several of us have comments already.
This is the time. The site plan submission, nothing is locked in stone at this point in time.
So at our next hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's
Thank
it
you.
for now.
Ms. Riley, anything?
No, my questions and comments, I'll wait to the next hearing.
Yeah.
When the
I just wanted to follow up on the site work. So do you guys have a hard number for the relocation of the culvert underneath, or is that another hidden expense that would be costed out afterwards?
No, can I answer that?
Yeah, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer. The answer is, yeah, that was pretty definitively installed. The concern was they were doing some due diligence, and they found the hydrocarbons, and it's in the area of where we're going to be. It's adjacent to the area where we're going to be relocating the culvert from. So that's where this has popped up.
So the question is, on that, relocating the culvert, it has to run through the area where the soil is contaminated. So that's kind of asking the question, is one thing going to impact the other? The relocation of the culvert, would that, is there any option on sliding that so you don't have to disturb it, or is that?
Keep that actually.
Yeah, grab it.
In the course of the initial testing that was done, there were multiple areas that were tested, and they came up negative. And there was an initial test that came up with a very small amount of hydrocarbons in this corner of the property right here. To delineate that, to define that more precisely, they did another test, and they moved slightly over, and they got a higher amount. But they've already had 0 hits in the areas around it. So the area is pretty well defined. The purpose of the additional testing that we're going to do is to really delineate down and identify where that is, to define the volume of soils that have to be removed. Now, to the extent that that's adjacent to where the culvert has to be removed, but there are test pits that are between the hottest area that was found and the culvert that are negative. So it looks like if that remains consistent, that this is the spot that we have to worry about in this corner, then the culvert would not be in a contaminated area that's being taken out.
Could you just trace with a pen where the new culvert's going to end up, just so I can understand, because I can't see it from here.
All right. This is rough.
Yeah. So that'll be the new one? Mm-hmm. Okay.
How do you do?
Good.
Okay. You've done good.
Any other questions about that? I mean, they have a pretty good idea of the extent of the area that has to be excavated, but they're hesitant to say this is what it is. But it's not a number that's significantly larger than what was anticipated in the initial documents that the budget of the construction documents has a line item for removal of contaminated soils. So.
Okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I ask one more question?
No.
Yes, quickly.
Go ahead.
We heard all talks about the police station. What about the fire station? Are you coming back with that, or is that no discussion needed, or?
Yeah, it's no discussion needed. We're not making any changes to the site of the police station.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be bringing in a new fire service, a water line service, but we're not doing any site modifications to that building, besides changing out the doors in the front and the back of the building, and then redoing the landing at the front door. But it's very minor modifications to that.
What are the budgets for both of these?
The total town appropriation is $9,985,000 and change, and that's both projects together with all soft cost contingencies, everything rolled into one number. Just shy of $10 million.
Okay. Any other questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, is Mr. Clarko going to be at the public hearing? The planning board public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to be away. Yes, that's it.
Is there anybody from the audience who would like to
Oh,
speak?
I have one more question.
You have
No.
to wait.
I've heard talk that the police and fire are moving. They're going to be are they going to stay where they're at, and then when the police station opens, the police are going to go from where they are now to the new building, or?
Sure. No, it's something we're exploring. As a baseline, we would be building the new police station and then moving the police department over and then renovating the existing fire station or existing shared station into fire only, and they would be temporarily housed in the front parking lot and trailers. That's the base line assumption.
Who's they?
Sorry.
You mean just the fire department would be temporarily relocated?
The fire. So currently it's a shared facility. The base plan is to build a new police station online, move them over.
Mm-hmm.
Then the fire department would move to temporary trailers in front of the station while their building is renovated. That's a 1.5 year long project with the both of them combined. We're exploring options of whether we temporarily relocated both the police and fire to a different location, which would allow the construction to happen within 1 year. But more than likely we'll be proceeding with the baseline, but we were doing our due diligence to see if there was economically an improvement to have the projects happen in a 1 year time frame versus a 1.5 year time frame.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Mason.
before we go to audience, did the override include relocation?
That would have to come out of the budget itself. It would all happen within the number. And by doing the project in a year and a half, some of the carrying costs of construction are less because escalation is less and other things. So that savings would be allocated in order to pay for, temporary relocation.
Thank you.
And the fire department relocation was always in there. The trailers were always in that original appropriation.
I have one more question.
Go
So just while you're there, so the what your setup is, you're like a guaranteed not to exceed? Is that what that would be?
Correct, yeah, by bringing on a construction manager early on in the process, they're a partner to the project, and it'll be a guaranteed maximum price.
Okay.
The subcontractors will still be bid out traditionally where they submit their lump sum price, but the general contractor will be a guaranteed maximum price.
One other thing I was thinking about, looking at your plan, where this is technically in a residential area, I think you're going to need a lighting plan. And I'm not sure, it's public safety, I know you have a lot of criteria that you have to work with, obviously, but I also know that it's surrounded by residential folks, on one side, and then there's also condominiums in the Centennial Place, so I'm sure there's going to be some issues with that. In particular, we looked at in the past was the oversplash onto private property. I mean, it's not so much how bright it needs to be in the front, obviously, but it's parking areas in the back and the splash levels.
Right. We did address that in our narrative. We simply say it's going to be provided under separate cover because they're doing it as we speak.
Okay.
We are getting you a photometric plan and fixture cuts.
I'm just trying to think of things that have come up in the
Yeah,
past.
sure.
when
No,
they show up.
it's in there, and you are going to have it at the public hearing.
And then the thing up front to pronounce it as a town building, the gun turret, is that actually, is it going to be used at all, or is that just a facade?
What's that? What's a gun turret? I mean, I know what a gun turret is.
The
Is
glass.
that what that is?
The glass.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
why is that there?
That was my question for
It kind of looks like Huntington Beach, too.
Interesting, though.
You know,
It looks like what?
Huntington Beach, guard station.
It's not a lifeguard station either. It's a little too cold for that. But part of the need that we saw in coming up with the design of the building is addressing the sightline traveling west on Route 109 on Main Street. That the Centennial Place development and the building as it's designed and as it's built really restricts the sightlines of people. If you're looking for where the police station is, if we don't do something to really stand out significantly, then people are not going to see it. They're going to miss it. So the idea was to put something there that is it kind of gives a presence of, this is the police station, here we are. If you need us, come right here. Functionally, what I envision is the glass that you see at the top of that is, in my perfect world, is tinted blue. And there's some signage on that indicating that's the police station. And in the evening, it would be backlit. It's a way of giving definition to the building. This is the police station. People who are looking for the police station will be able to find the police station. And that's the purpose behind having that kind of a presence right on Main Street.
Mr. Chairman? Chief, while I appreciate that and would very much like to see that concept of something higher and predominant, with the buildings that have gone up recently, with everything that has been reviewed, the history of the town, the history of the prior buildings, that's just not cutting it for me, personal opinion. Where
Well, that's your opinion as the planning board member.
we have gone out of our way, the various committees, especially with the library. It looks like a lighthouse, what did you call it?
I just have a comment, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to know, who's not going to know where it is?
Well, while everyone in Millis knows where it is, thousands of people drive through town every day. And, people who don't know where the infrastructure is for a given community, given if there's an emergency, if someone in the car is ill, something's happening, they think they're being followed, something has somebody in a panic, and they're looking for the police station. People drive by police stations all the time because they're in a panic, they don't see it. You need to have something out there that is of a substantive, it draws attention to it. That you look at that, and then that's the police station. Coming down, when you head east on 109, given the figure on the lower figure kind of gives an idea, although the scale I don't think it's quite accurate because it's kind of below looking up. But the face of Centennial Place is going to be far more dominating of a structure than the police station is because of the width of the police station and what the Centennial Place is. So even if you're coming down the hill, traveling east on 109, you're going to be drawn to the largest, most significant building or object that you see. And that's going to be the largest building of Centennial Place, and in front of that is the smaller one. And unless we design a building that is significantly different in its appearance from those two buildings, it's going to blend right in, and one would think it's similar to Centennial Place or part of Centennial Place. And we went back and forth on this as to on the design of it. How traditional do we want to make it? How do we make it clear that this is not part of Centennial Place, but rather it is a public facility? So that was the reasoning behind coming up with a design that was different than Centennial Place, but that had a very dominant, here, this is the police station message to it. And again, going westbound on 109, the buildings themselves block the sight line that if you just had a traditional roof line there, you're going to have a very difficult time seeing it's the police station until you're right on top of it. And traveling eastbound, you're going to, again, the natural draw of someone is to the largest object, and that's going to be the Centennial Place buildings, and it wouldn't be the police station. And I know in our daily activities going through town, being, as you live in town or if you work in town, you know where the police station is, you know where the fire station is. But I would suggest that, even today, the signage in front of the police fire is very, very limited as to the police station. And at nighttime, there's almost, there's nothing out on Main Street that tells you that's what it is. The building is going to be out on Main Street, but there has to be something out there that says this is the police station. So that's how they come up with the design. And
my last question, Mr. Chairman, when I see something that says headquarters, that means like there's other branches. I wonder, when you see headquarters, is that word necessary?
I would say it's not necessary because you pay for each letter.
Then,
So it's Millis Police Department works for me.
It's the main branch, it's the oldest branch.
Yeah.
I would just, no, you know what it is. But that's all for discussion in a couple of weeks.
Any other questions?
Actually, Chief I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Chairman,
Nothing more about
Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
I'm not asking
it. No,
about
good.
design.
I want to hear your other one.
No, my question is, with regards to the glass on that, where does maintenance come into play with that? I mean, it's going to be, and no, it's not about design, it's about finances. So stop laughing at me. You have a full glassed area, especially if you're looking to have it backlit. The cleaning and maintenance of it.
Well, we're looking at,
That,
the thing that, we're still looking for the most economic way to build this structure. So there is discussions as to whether or not it's going to be open all the way up or whether it's going to have a floor or in between where you could have just a hatch similar to an access into your attic from your home and a closet.
Yeah.
In which you just put a ladder up there, get up there. It'd be a minimal maintenance at all. But my goal would be to have some kind of LED lighting that's going to be, very, very long-term, not need a lot of maintenance, that it's not going to be open, so you have to get there and clean the glass. It'll be closed off, and the amount of maintenance on it might be once a year. You have to get up there and, clean the inside of the glass.
You could use it as a drum thing. Everybody could see embarrassment like the old days. Put them out there.
you're laughing at my question.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
what are you folks going to do for signage, other than what's in the front of the building?
Well, there's the signage on the front of the building. There was thought about having some signage by the flagpoles, but because of the power lines, the flagpoles can't be located on Main Street because the distance between the flagpole and the power lines has to be twice the distance of the flag, and there's just not that kind of distance. The building with or without the front structure that there may or may not be an issue with. But it's going to be about a 45-foot flagpole. That's going to require a flag that's at least 5 by 8 feet. That means you need a 16-foot clearance between the flagpole and the power lines in case the flag tears. So unfortunately, the flagpole is not going to be able to be situated in the front, which is typically where you put your signage, by your flagpole. We need to deal with the site that we have, and there's some sewer lines running through there that have to be able to be accessed for maintenance. So we'll work on exactly what best signage works. But again, one of the reasons why there was discussions about making that glass top area a functional part of the signage, incorporating that into the signage, is because we absolutely realize that we're very limited in what's out front and available for signage.
Okay.
Is all the dispatchers now, I know we share, are they going to be relocated down here
Yes.
permanently?
Yes.
Okay. Any question? Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott Fusey, 15 Stony Brook. A lot of work's gone into this. This has been a long process. I think Wayne Klecko, the chiefs, and everybody involved in this project has done a great job. There's been a lot of issues with the site, but I think overall, once it's all done, I think it's going to be something that will suit the police department's needs for a long time in this town. Everybody knows the building they're in now is undersized, outdated, so hopefully this will suit the needs that they have, and everybody will be happy once it's all said and done. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to make any comments? Okay.
Show me a picture. Show me a picture.
No. We need to set they're on for the next meeting, Camille?
Yes, it's already been scheduled for February 10th, 7:30.
You want to just say that out loud so people can...
Yeah, no, just confirm it.
It's February 10th, Tuesday, 10th at 7:30 p.m. And I'll send you a copy of the public hearing notice.
So the meeting has been advertised. It's going to be on February 10th, 2014. It'll be 7:30 p.m.
2015, sir.
15. God, I'm having a tough night. Anything else regarding the police station? Well, thank you very much for coming in and giving us a little snapshot of what's going on. I know there's a lot of people in town looking forward to this moving forward, so it's going to be great.
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Need and bank plan endorsement?
We did that.
We did. Endorse Centennial Place modification plan?
I have a question. One second. You're going to
Good.
something.
Do we feel like discussing the solar bylaw?
You're all up.
We could talk a little more about it. So we did the energy person from the town, excuse me, had sent us a part of the state guideline for by right solar farm area for large scale. They included that in the package. That's for large, if we have large areas that are suitable to do that. And then the other thing is that he did review one of the ones. I go back to the one from Marion because I like that better because it seems to be pretty comprehensive. And he said that could work in conjunction with this large-scale one, if we want to take a look at that and combine the two together. So that's a pretty big packet of stuff. It's something similar to what the Dago Solar guys wanted to do, so on the farm. And the Marion one had something similar to this. It had similar language in it also. You have to have screening. It has to be sightlines from the neighborhood. You can't have barbed wire fences around it. So, like I said, I think the Marion one did seem to have a lot of the similar information in it. And then I also had got a couple from Phil Hopkinton, bylaws, and I think it was Bedford. The Hopkinton one was pretty light, didn't have a lot in it, and the Bedford one, same thing, was more towards larger developments of the solar farms. So,
Well, do you think we're ready to go forward with a public hearing on it?
we'd have to just pick one. I mean, like I said, I personally read and liked the Marion one. I think you guys should look at it again and see. I know you guys were saying on some of it, you were worried about the restrictions on, they had setbacks from the edge of roof, so you can't bring the solar panels all the way down to the edge of the roof, which I've driven by and now I've been actually looking at solar panels, and it does make a difference to have it back a little bit from the edge. It doesn't look so much like, a giant, it actually looks like a roof with solar panels on it versus somebody who has a solar panel roof. But that's like a personal thing. So, obviously the screening is going to be important for the larger ones. We may want to make sure that there's enough setback on the, from the lot lines, and then also screening requirements if it's going to be abutting residential.
Okay.
In just the process, we have to have something all prepared and ready to go, and then we have to send a memo to the Board of Selectmen
Well, we have to have it go,
asking them, and then we can hold the public hearing.
well, also the town administrators, we need to run it by legal.
Town
Yeah, legal,
council.
town council.
So we have to take whatever we're doing, throw it past legal first, and they'll have to take a look at it to make sure we're not doing anything. And I'd also probably, once again, give it back to the energy guy our energy consultant, Bob, and have him just say, we're thinking of this isn't going to screw up our green credits or whatever we're getting from the state, just to make sure we're not putting something out that is going to put us at a disadvantage.
So do you think we'd have something ready by February 10th so that you could send it to the Board of Selectmen after that meeting, hold the public hearing? in
Yeah.
March?
Do you still have the Marion ones? Because Camille printed those
in here.
previous.
No,
Yeah.
I gave it to you last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I just gave you this one, but you still have them.
Yeah.
If not, I can email them to you again if you don't.
Yeah, if you could email it.
Email it
Yeah.
again.
Well, we just plan on making a decision either way next meeting on that one.
Yep.
Make a comment.
In worst case, we'll have something on the books, so at least,
Yeah.
it's like the.
It'll be the first time we made a mistake and had changed afterwards.
And we're going to talk about that
Town
next.
council makes the mistake.
That's
not
true.
us.
That's true, Kathy. Thank you.
Come on. I have a question, I have a comment. I just want, and I think you already highlighted it, but just in case, the state law states that no zoning regarding this type of bylaw shall prohibit or unreasonably regulate the installation of solar energy systems or the building or structures that facilitate the collection of solar energy, except where necessary to protect public health, safety, or welfare. So if an abutter's like, oh, I don't like that, what it's going to do to my values or anything, this is one of those as of right bylaws, like you mentioned. Also, it states projects cannot be prohibited, but can be reasonably regulated by the board designated by the bylaw, which is the planning board.
Kathy, which one is that? Is that?
I'm just reading from the one you got.
That's the
from
new one.
Energy
Okay.
State.
Yeah, today.
You don't have to write it in there, but I just want people to know that it can't be denied. They can be regulated.
Just like 40B.
All right, did you want to talk about your letter for Tom, or I got the poultry thing I was going to talk about? And
Poultry, yeah, I don't know.
the poultry thing, Camille's nice enough to actually print up what we did approve last time and send over. I just want to send that to town council, because what happened in that process was it was approved, but there wasn't allowed in the zoning, right? The language was there. So I want them to come up with it, because somewhere along the lane, we adopted it, and we had 2 meetings on it. Everybody seemed pretty happy with it. And all of a sudden, we came back with number of chickens, non-number of chickens, do this, do that. So I want to get something from town council, so I'm just going to review it and tell them to give us the answer on that one.
Because there's a conflict with the general bylaw.
Yeah, we got to
Which
resolve
doesn't have
that.
to do with the planning board, and then the zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
So if she can just come up with something that fixes both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm still happy with our language we had before. So we need to change that. The other thing, and I know you, Nicole, works on the assisted living, 55 plus. I kind of want to take a different approach instead of, I feel like, I talked to the planning board chair, the planner for Franklin regarding this, and she works with these things all the time, and I asked her for a proposal to look at the different types are out there, different communities, different benefits, and different problems that they can bring to various communities. And I had asked her to provide us a scope of work, which I think is very reasonable if you look at it. And I'd like to go forward with that. Because as I said the last meeting, I really, it drives me crazy when I'm driving down 115 in Norfolk, and I look on the right-hand side, and they put that whole place in there, and the tax revenue that town must be getting from that, it's not impacting the school systems, which is our biggest cost in town, and they were able to get, certain densities associated with that. That's what I see. I see a revenue source that's coming in that can support schools, can support police buildings, fire buildings, school fields, new DPW trucks, new libraries, whatever. And we seem to be missing a boat on that. The only thing we have is a 55 plus. But if you look at, and I remember we went through that, the benefits that we give are not that what's what I want to look for? They're not, people aren't breaking down the door to build in Millis because they're much more restrictive than the surrounding communities.
Well, if you go through some of the items that Dave Baker had pointed out, in deciding, are we looking for simply assisted living, which is really targeting it at a much older group, or are we looking at something that could go from 55 to 95, that would have independent living, assisted living, where people could progress? Then I think that's going to, but the point is being that what we were initially looking at and what I was initially focusing on would lend towards more the older and assisted living. And I think if somebody at this point is going to come in to make that kind of investment, they're going to want a bigger place. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is if it can encompass various aspects. So I think...
Absolutely.
I think what we need to do is maybe step back and reconsider what are we really... We started this because we had a gentleman come and say, I want to build this building, and there's no rule for it. There's no law governing it. There's no zoning, no bylaws, nothing. And that's where we started from. But the more that I've talked to people, that's not what that typical 12-unit, that building of 12 units that he was talking about is not the typical, and that's, we've really restricted this, and I think this needs to be a much bigger.
Well, I think we need to be able to put options out there, and with the options, there has to be
Right,
conditions that benefit to the town. And
how we initially started it.
No, I agree with you, but I'm looking at this like, I can't even tell you what the absolute definition difference between a congregate living place, a 55 house housing, assisted living facility, accessory, well, I know what accessory building, I don't even know what all these are. And we don't even have definitions in our zoning for this. So we should have something, and we should have parameters. And, is that going to be allowed to be built anywhere? Is it going to be allowed to visit residential too? Is it going to be built on 109? Who knows? But we're just touching it. But in the meantime, there's a lot of stuff going on in other communities that, I know for a fact, Franklin, they're embracing these places. They're building one over on East Central Street right now, right across from the Big Y, huge place. And it's more of a conjugate type assisted living place. They just built one over on King Street.
Isn't there one in Milford, too?
Yeah, I mean, and nothing's happening here. I mean, we got a 55 plus that the gentleman is doing. He's been working on it for 6-7 years now, but it's very limited market. They're $650,000 a piece.
So anyway, okay, we hear enough about what we don't have. What is the next phase that you're proposing?
Next phase?
I see a bill in here.
It's not a bill. It's a scope.
No, a scope. Do we have to get so many?
No. No. It's way under.
Nicole has been like the lead on this. I don't know what her thoughts are on it.
If Chairman wants to, I started this out simply agreeing to take it on voluntarily. I mean, I'm certainly not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. Everything I've done, I've learned.
Do we have money for this?
Yeah.
We do? And perhaps at the same time, we could ask town council, do they have like a generic?
She had emailed in the past some samples from another town.
First,
Yeah,
but
that's,
that
and
was
that's where we
specific.
started from,
Oh,
was
okay.
was for assisted living. And initially, when I had brought you the comparison of those, some of those towns, such as Walpole, went in-depth, breaking their regulations down. Is this an over 55? Is this congregate living? Is this really, is it assisted living versus independence living? And it's extremely detailed, whereas then you have some towns that cover it in a page and a half.
And what do you think it should be like?
Quite honestly, I from the places that I've visited, and I've talked to a couple of, unfortunately, because of family members just recently, I've gone in and started talking to managers. And I think if we're going to try to encourage that sort of building, we need something that's going to be bigger and it's going to have the opportunity to encompass a larger range of facilities. But I also think in doing it that way, you're not going to have a 10-unit place that's going to plop up in the middle of a neighborhood, that's going to have people screaming, well, wait a minute, I don't want this in the middle of my neighborhood.
Well, I think Kathy, you get back to the scope of this work. I think we're a little ways from actually drafting regulations. This is kind of bringing what other towns are doing, what the idea is, what the good things have come out of these, and what the bad things have come out of these. And is this something that, the Millis Planning Board, however we come up with, we're going to make recommendations to do. And if we have a hearing, or not a hearing, but a public thing, and we want to move forward, at that point we could start drafting regulations. But this is just the first step to see if this is in the right direction we want to go. And if
I just, Nicole's done so much work on it, and I feel, and myself included, that it's been put off and put off and put off, and it shouldn't be put off anymore. This should go on the front burner.
I agree.
You've given us so much, and there comes a point where we have to do some work on it and get this gal in here to, help oversee it, and we'll refresh our memories on what town council provided us. But, I agree with you. Don't let this go anymore.
No, I do think it's something, because, as you said, we're
losing out.
We are losing out. And
it's our fastest growing population right now. It really is.
We all are.
Yeah, look at us.
I just don't, I myself, I figure I would just stay in my house until it's paid for. Until I can't go up the stairs anymore. And
Except
then
that I'm dealing with an aunt right now who's in the emergency room at Newton Wellesley, because she is adamant that's what she's doing, and she can't basically take care of herself.
Yeah, I know.
And we went through that with my mother. I mean, this is
It's hard, I can't.
it's very hard to admit, to think of that, but
Be anything other than the way I am
Right.
now.
and it's because
Do we have the land to accept this? I mean, is there land in Millis for something of this nature?
Well, it depends if we're
You're
going
talking like Ann and Hope.
Yeah, they could do
Property,
GAF,
street
yeah,
here, the
GAF,
street,
it's
yeah.
big enough, they could do something up there.
I think, personally, I think that's a perfect location.
I agree.
Because it's set back. You could have screening throughout. It has the ability to hold the various types of residents. You could
Is
have,
this going to be, not to interrupt, but I'm thinking of these things now, is it going to be in a certain zoned area, or can it go in residential?
We'd have to look at it.
decide that. Some places allow it, some places don't.
Mm.
We have to find out what,
You don't know. You could do Glen Ellen. That could be redone over again. I don't know.
No, there's some
Just
more
even the
farm-
small, when they talk about Bremen Screw, I mean, that would have been a smaller one. There are places
Yeah.
out there. There are potential subdivisions that this could be. You just don't know. But once again, we don't know
Right.
what we want. We don't know what the residents
So what
want.
do we do with this proposal that we received?
I'll
I'm happy with it. I don't know.
I'll let her know. I'll sign off on it. I mean,
Yeah, I'm fine. That
It's well
sounds
within
good.
procurement.
no,
50, I mean,
More information's good.
I don't know anything about.
$50 an hour, that's stamp money.
Yeah, that's right.
The lawyer to look at it from town council costs 4
I
times
know,
of that.
I know.
Do you
So,
want to make a motion to propose this?
Yeah, if we have the money to do it, I think then it is something.
It would help
That-
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to accept the proposal for the research, the senior housing and surrounding communities for not to exceed 15 hours, $750.
Motion made second?
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is this is to research the current bylaws out there? Because half of these towns don't have them. I can tell you that already.
Well, yeah, I guess. That and just what else is going on. That's part of it. And she's going to come in and obviously make a report to us.
Because what you're referring to in Norfolk is not what we're talking about.
It's a 55 plus.
There's a difference between a 55 plus, which we already have bylaws for.
No, but but the thing is, this is what you're not following me on. Our 55 plus, even if we did nothing else, our 55 plus,
I understand that, but
is not incentive driven that people are coming in here. There's no value to do it.
I understand that.
So
That's
part of what
my
she's
point.
looking at is 55 plus, and she's going to compare. Say you have a specific lot in Norfolk, you can put 7 55 plus on. We only can put 1 on here, or 3. I think we have 3, right? And that was a big contention. We went through this before. How much it was going to be? Do they have to? How much open space do they have to provide? They have to provide 10,000 per house, and we have to have 80,000. I don't know.
But my point is simply, over 55 developments, whether they are single-family homes or duplex condos, and independent/assisted living facilities are two
Oh, I get that.
completely
Absolutely.
different creatures, even though you're talking the same age brackets.
No, I get it.
They're completely
I
different.
know that. Oh, I know that. But we could have in town, for example, we actually have in town right now, you can build a 55 plus
Yes.
pretty much anywhere, right? We do. So we don't know if that's the right relations. Assisted living, conjugate living, we have nothing for that.
Right, and that's.
So you could have your option. I can do a 55 plus, I can do conjugate, I can do assisted, but we don't even have that. No, I know they're 4 different things. There might be a 5th one I don't even know about. Next one that's coming out. Really?
Well, its 5th one is Alzheimer's.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Will she be able to present something?
Oh, yeah, I don't know, I feel it's going to be too quick,
Okay.
I think.
Because I'm saying in order to do everything we have to do.
Yeah.
we have to
We
be-
still aim for the fall town meeting.
Yeah,
Fall.
But let's try to do it right.
Yeah, that's okay.
And then the last thing was, we got to set a meeting date for March? We did do 10?
Madeline emailed, she said that she cannot film on the 10th and was wondering if we could do the 24th instead.
There's no vacation or anything, is there?
I'll be
In
on
March?
vacation the week of the 17th.
What else do we have on the 10th?
We have February 10th is already scheduled. We have public hearings and a public hearing and
I'm sorry, March, anything?
nothing right now. I'm assuming the hearing will
That's
probably be continued.
7 weeks, 6 weeks?
You want to
6 weeks?
schedule it on February 10th? She just likes to know
No,
so she
February.
can schedule her crew.
No, we're doing February 10th.
Yeah, we're doing February
But
10th.
now you're talking about
We wanna
March
wait
10th. No, I'm thinking it's a long time, because once the police state, they're going to have to come in, they're going to have a bunch of stuff, right? It might be better if we wait to the 24th then.
From the 10th to the 24th, 10th of Feb to
February
March
10th to March
24th.
24th.
I got a life, so.
Yeah, it has to be televised, so,
Yeah, we want the,
TV, right.
yeah.
for the police station, and they're going to have a bunch of stuff. You guys know that.
Right.
With that site plan,
So it'll be
that ain't a
March
one and done.
March 24th is okay then?
Yeah.
All right, and then if you want to do the minutes?
We do a letter.
Want me to make a motion in the minutes?
Oh, what about that letter to the
Yeah, I
Board
was
of
going to say that
Selectmen?
next.
I just threw that out there. I
We're
don't-
doing minutes right now, we can get back to that. Would you like to make a motion on the
I'll
minutes?
like to make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes for meeting held at
December
7:30 PM.
16th.
December 16th, 2014, as written.
Motion is made, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Finally, the letter. I thought it was very good, I just hate the font.
It's our font to use.
That's
Did you type that? It looks like typewriter font.
No, that's,
You click, 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 click.
That's,
How about New Times Roman?
Too small.
Well, I'm going to have to put
that's
in
actually
letterhead in.
business letterhead,
What is?
letter. This,
Yeah.
Oh, I can put it on once you approve it.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. This is set to my...
No, I think it was fine. I think we should.
If you can think of anything else that our rules and regs oversee, I was just, the final thing, I don't know if this is going to be privately owned or what. Was there any
It is going to
discussion?
be, I believe it's going to be privately owned. It's going to be, they're going to own it. You know, the residents, it's going to be,
So what happens when...
the road, we're not going to own the road, we're not going to plow it, we're not going to...
Okay. Maybe we shouldn't care what happens underneath it.
No,
They can't waive drainage, I know that.
yeah, no,
And that is a zone 2 up there.
yeah, I don't know what,
Absolutely.
you know, I haven't seen what the selectmen have promised or made an agreement with. I mean, with the water mains and stuff like that, I haven't been privy to
I don't,
any
you
of
know,
that.
I don't have an opinion on setbacks or anything. That's a whole different group. We don't normally oversee those, so...
Well, I think what the letter shows is it's showing that the residents that live surrounding this, that the planning board's, you know, standing behind them, you know, giving them a little bit of support, whether it means anything or not with the 40B, as we know, just like what you said earlier. If they're making the agreement to, what's it, a happy type agreement,
Yeah.
an easy type agreement with the selectmen,
It's not happy, what do they call it?
a TIF, I thought it was
Favorable.
a favorable TIF type, yeah.
Do you want to just say to the people out there what this letter is?
Yeah, there's a proposed 40B subdivision. With a 40B, it doesn't fall under the rules and regulations of the planning board. It actually falls under the rules of the ZBA, which I was going to say we should also send this to the ZBA chairman, not just the...
But it's not formally presented yet? I just want the selectmen to know now.
Mm-hmm. But it is limited, the planning board is very limited on what can be done in the private, and it's because it's affordable, what it means to be affordable housing there, which is 25% of it,
And I believe-
has to meet,
3 units,
well, it's going to be
3 of the 12, right?
3 to 12, but what affordable means, it's not low cost, it's affordable based on what the average family makes in Millis, so it'd be affordable. So, and that housing stock has to be always deeded to be affordable in nature, so if the person buys it, they have to sell it back or sell it to someone else as an affordable. And where Millis doesn't meet the cutoff for a 55+, which means you have 10% of your housing stock is affordable in town, which Millis, I don't even think is close to that.
I don't think we're 3% yet.
So it allows them to build more housing on property than what a normal zoning would allow.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what I really wanted to say out loud is that you said this favorable memorandum that the applicant and the Board of Selectmen agree on certain waivers, that the planning board is adamant that subdivision rules and regulations not be waived. Those being the depths of utilities, location of utilities, curb cuts, the configuration of the road. We've never had a cul-de-sac longer than 500 feet, and that's something like that is for safety reasons. This is to provide safety for the new homeowners as well as, you said, the existing neighborhood on Van Cleek Road.
And I think, part of what goes along is that we have very strict construction standards, and the one that always comes to mind would obviously be how the roadway's built. The material that's underneath it and the asphalt that's used on that. As Jim said, whether this is going to be a public right-of-way or not a public right-of-way, the road should be built to standards, because that roadway, we do want it to last 25 to 30 years. If it's not going to be a public right-of-way, the people that are buying that, okay, they're going to be taxpayers in the town of Millis, and so it should be built to the standards and expectations that we have. Same with the water lines, not using plastic water pipe, not using different things that we, lower cost type items to serve the cost of it. So, yes, Kathy, you are right. It should be built to, construction standards.
And one other thing I'd like to just mention is that whatever waiver the planning board gave on one project, each parcel and the land under it is unique. So if we granted somebody a waiver, one developer a waiver for the distance between the water pipe and this pipe. It was unique to the situation. It wasn't to cut costs like what he may be asking on this. So I've heard stories that the developer said, well, you allowed this up there. Well, it was totally dry area up on a hill and everything.
Too damn bad.
This is Zone 2, right? So this is another area of protection.
Yeah, for our groundwater, drinking water.
So if something happens 10 years down the road, there's a letter on file saying that we recommended that, we can't be blamed for this one.
Correct.
So I'd like to make a motion that the planning board does approve the letter, draft letter to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen regarding the Van Cleek proposed 40B subdivision.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion?
Make sure it goes to the ZBA.
Yeah, you know what, why don't we CC the ZBA on it? I also think we should ZBA, or CC the Board of Health agent, the building inspector, and the myriad of everybody else we do, why not?
Conservation.
Okay, so
Yeah,
moved.
conservation. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So if you draft up, let me know, I'll sign it.
Well, I'll use this.
Yeah.
The letterhead.
Yep.
And then
I'll sign it.
sign
The
it.
turret.
You like that?
That was quick, Brutus.
All right.
Tactical squad.
Any further, next meeting is February 10th. Anything else? All right.
And who's up for re-election?
I am.
I saw that, that's why I have a trustee.
I gotta get them.
You have your trustee forms?
So you're going on record and letting everyone know that you are seeking re-election?
A motion's been made to
Adjourn.
adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I have some doors to sign.
Oh,